Alright, hello everybody. We are back for episode 2. Last time, we lost Cain, we gained Rydia, and we found that Rosa needs, well, some kind of sand ruby. And so now we have an actual reason to go to Damcyan? I don't know how to pronounce it. I've never looked at the Japanese pronunciation. But anyway, that was a quick fight. Alright, here we go. We've changed Rydia over to a bow and arrow, so she can't use her... With the original rod, I was able to use that from the item menu, and it does some damage, but she's gonna have to get a little bit better before she can be useful with the bow and arrow, I guess. This is one of those games where restoring MP is actually, kind of a hassle. So, we'll stop at the inn one more time to make sure we have max MP for Rydia, and off we go. So even though Cecil knew who Tellah was, and even though Tellah could have easily figured out that Cecil used the Dark Sword, now it's a good justification for them to work together. So, well, there it is. Tellah's actually pretty good. He has some limitations as a character. He starts out at level 20, which means he's not going to be gaining many levels as we use him. And he has an MP max of 90, which is important. We can look at his magic. He's got some decent magic that he can use, including Cure 2 and a nice span of all the different elemental spells. We are going to put him over here so that he's in the back ranks. He has a lot of hit points, but not really good defense. You see that his defense looks like 5, whereas someone like Cecil has a defense of 18. Big difference. undead enemies don't take a lot of damage, but we can beat them with fire spells or with cure spells. So, yeah, not quite enough. For some reason, Tellah has practically no equipment. The one good thing about his staff is that if you use it in the item menu, it casts the heal spell. I'm pretty sure. So, handy in a pinch. Psych is another handy spell for Tellah to keep his magic points up. I don't know every secret in this game, but I did know that one. Or at least I suspected it. It's been so long that I can't remember. But, yeah, some useful stuff there. Yeah, I thought there was nothing there, but I figured it was worth checking. I mean, back in the day, you had to be a little careful about... Well, if things were balanced properly, you had to be a little careful about keeping your, resources up while you were going through a dungeon. Nowadays, stuff restores automatically a lot, but this was back when you had to be careful about that kind of stuff. You know, those cave toads are sticking their tongues out, but I always thought it was like an oblique tooth when I was a kid. Tellah is another great example of a character in this game who comes to you kind of formed up, you know? He's already level 20, even higher than Cecil, and he's, got high level, well, not high level magic, but he's got a lot of magic points and a lot of hit points for a wizard, too. Kind of an interesting trend. You know what else might be good to do is to customize, because I can make the battle a little faster and the messages maybe a little slower, just to make sure everybody gets a chance to read them. I thought there was an active and wait system in this game, but I guess not. My mistake. And now the first save point. Character development. Considering how bad she's been at hitting things with that bow and arrow, I think probably Ice Rod will be an upgrade. You can just barely see these tunnels here. Sometimes you can see them fully, sometimes you can't. This case is one of the cases where you can see them. And you can see how it curls up and over. We're gonna explore the whole thing. Now I think my spellcasting here is going to backfire. Yes. See? Exactly. Well, that looked like the heal spell, but it didn't heal her, so I don't know. You know, I didn't know you could select all enemies with the ice rod like that, but it's handy. So that's what retreat typically looks and sounds like. The soldiers that in the previous episode didn't do that, which is why it's so, I don't know, weird, I guess. Finally, we get an upgrade for Cecil. Obviously, we can't buy these swords and stuff, but we can go from shadow to darkness to... There's a third level, too, but I forget what it's called. Anyway. It's kind of weird to have a two-part cave like that, but there it is. You know, it has been so long since I've played this that I thought for some reason that we were gonna fight Octomom during that fall, but that happens in Final Fantasy VI, not in this one. So anyway. Her animation when she's casting a spell looks like she's twiddling her thumbs, which is a little weird but funny. Those double strikes are a weird thing. Like, it attacks twice, but it doesn't hit until both of the attacks come out. It's weird. It's not in a lot of any other Final Fantasy games that I recognize. I don't know, it's something unique to this game that I totally forgot about until just now. You know, it's so funny how amazing these little sprites magic effects were back in the day. This is an odd fight because they had the opportunity to make each leg like an individual thing, but instead they just make it like an indicator of how many hit points he has instead. Which is a little weird, but it still works and makes the fight, I guess, last longer, which is nice. I mean, the suggestion is that his speed is also dependent on how many legs he has, but as far as I can tell, it's not really that much of an effect. And that kind of came out of nowhere in the original game. I guess the Red Wings are being used for war, too. And somehow they managed to take the crystal, which is even crazier. Because they just flew right over. They must have tractor beams or something. And there it is, the famous line. Tellah just went at him. He'd like just straight up. Dude, cast a spell. It's what you do. Here's our first vehicle, the hovercraft. A weird addition to a game that seemed like it was a, standard fantasy game for a long time. We suddenly get a hovercraft. And it lets us get back to Kaipo if we need to. No, we don't actually need to. You can go over shallow water with it, but not deep water. That's why you need these shoals here. I think also, I'm not sure, but I think there's also some stuff for us to get in the castle. This is another really good track in the soundtrack here. Very moody, in a good way. I don't think there's anything over on this side, but it's worth checking. No, it looks like no. Two survivors. For some reason, they split this into 2 different pots of recovery, which seems like kind of redundant, but that's the way they did it, for whatever reason they did it. I mean, obviously, you want to have the ability to have one or the other for, you know, dungeon tension reasons, but at the same time, here it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Well, I guess this is a pretty good place to stop for this episode. Next time we will head in to see what is going on with the peaceful antlion and see where we go from there. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.